Hello and welcome to our brand new episode of On the Bench. We're thrilled to bring you this new set and format for all our future programming. I'm Clem Kennedy, and in today's episode we will be exploring DJI and drone photography. Our special guest today is Gab Scanu. Gab is an award-winning photographer who takes breathtaking aerial shots of iconic Australian landscapes and coastlines. Gab's willingness to follow his artistic instinct when using aerial photography has enabled him to develop a unique style, now recognizable on a global scale as evident through his massive Instagram following. Gab, thank you so much for joining us today, and let's get straight into it.
Let's do it.
Let's start at the beginning. When did you get into drone photography?
So I'd say I got into drone photography pretty early in terms of when drones were kind of becoming mainstream. I'd say back in 2015, so going back about 5 years, maybe 6 years now. And the first time I actually flew a drone was because my father had purchased a drone. And at the time I'd previously just thought of drones as like those remote control cars that you'd get for Christmas, and you'd fly them or you'd drive them and they'd break in 2 minutes. So when I actually saw what the DJI drones could do and how easy they were to fly, that's what kind of hooked me as someone that was already into photography and filmmaking and stuff like that.
And you've been to some amazing locations with the drone photography, Gab.
Yeah.
What are some of the unique ones you've been to, or the more memorable locales?
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky to kind of travel all over the world and shoot a lot of aerial stuff. I think probably for me the most unique place that I visited is Saudi Arabia. I think purely because when I visited, I was part of a very small group of people who were invited to go out there and capture landscapes that previously no one had ever been allowed access to, especially not with drones. So for me, that was a really unique experience, and I got some content from there that I'll have forever. And yeah, they're just great memories, and it was one of those experiences where usually when I'm traveling and I'm going to different locations, I'm able to look up the different locations and kind of have an idea in my mind of what I want to shoot. But because no one had really shot in these places, when I was going on Google Images and trying to find references, there was nothing. So it was a cool experience in the sense that I got to shoot just what I saw in front of me with no preconceived idea, and everything that kind of came as a result of that was original. And that for me was, just a really special experience.
So we've got a shot of Saudi Arabia here.
Yeah.
What do you remember from this shot in particular, and what were you trying to capture there?
Yeah, so this would probably be one of my favorite photos. This here is, I believe, like an old ancient tomb, and it's a tomb of royalty, obviously by the size of it. And yeah, I think what I love about this shot is just like the vast scale of the landscape, and then this structure here that almost doesn't look real. I remember when I first posted on Instagram, I got hundreds of comments of people saying, "Oh, this is Photoshop, surely this isn't real," type thing. Because, I mean, when you look at it, it doesn't look real. It doesn't look like anything I've ever seen before in my life. And I think that's why I like it so much, because there's so much history there. It's so different. And then, obviously, I've positioned myself, I don't know if you can see, in front of the tomb there. So that just gives you another sense of scale. And
incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the other thing that I love about drone photography is just it offers that different perspective that you don't usually get to see. So this might look like something from the ground, and it still might be pretty incredible. But once you go up, it takes it to that next level, I think.
Absolutely, it looks surreal and something from another world.
Yeah, literally.
We've also got another shot of yours here that's in Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan, yeah, and that was another country that I was lucky to be invited to go and shoot, and another place where the drone laws are pretty tight. But luckily, I was given special permission and all the rest of it. So again, just some imagery that's pretty unique that you don't get to see too often. And they've got some pretty incredible architecture over there with their buildings and the colors. So yeah, another really, really cool place to be able to go and shoot.
Great colors, they just pop out.
Yeah, it reminded me of something out of like a Disney movie, like Aladdin or something like that.
Absolutely, yeah. Incredible.
That was really cool.
So you've shot all over the world, Gab. How have you gone navigating the drone laws in the various places you've been to?
Yeah, well, I mean, back when I first started, they were a little bit looser, I would say, just because drone photography wasn't as popular as it is now, and there weren't as many consumer drones out there for people to be flying, whereas now I think it's become so popular and drones are so accessible and the technology is becoming smarter and smaller that they just need to govern it a lot tighter. And yeah, that has been something that's been a little bit more tricky in the last few years. Especially here in Sydney and other places. But I think you just got to have common sense and you got to be careful and obviously know your surroundings and what you can and can't do.
It was a good time to start a few years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Got the content, and now I can kind of move on it and do things the right way moving forward. But yeah, no, it's definitely changed.
So Gab, what's in your kit bag today, and what's your drone of choice?
Okay, so in my kit, this is my go-to drone kit. I own a few drones, but this is probably my go-to. So this is the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. There's a few reasons why I like this the most. If I take the little gimbal lock off here, we can see the camera. So it's got a Hasselblad camera on there. The quality of this and the size is what kind of makes it the go-to for me. It kind of sits in that sweet spot of practical while still having that pro level of quality. Because obviously you've got drones that are a lot smaller and drones that are a lot bigger. For me, this kind of suits my needs really well, being able to travel with it and still get great quality content. So yeah, I just run with this, got a few extra batteries. And then in terms of my monitor, I like to use the Pro Remote. So it's got its own Android interface display. It connects straight to here, as opposed to using my phone, having to connect it every time. It's just a lot easier for me, and the bright screen also lets me shoot outside pretty easily. So yeah, pretty simple basic setup, but gets the job done, and yeah, works for me.
Fantastic. And you got a custom case there with it?
Yeah, got a custom. This is just a generic case with yeah, just foam cutouts to fit the charger, the drone, batteries, remote, everything that I need. So yeah, when I'm traveling and going around the place, just lock it up in there and it's good to go. Great.
And I'll remind all the viewers out there that these products are all available on our website, crkphotoimaging.com.au. Getting back to your images, what would be your favorite aerial project to date?
In terms of a project that I've worked on with aerial photography, I've been lucky enough to work on a few really cool projects. I think for me, the coolest thing that I've done and the thing that I've found the most exciting was I actually got the opportunity to shoot a few bespoke aerial images for Louis Vuitton to live in a few of their Sydney stores here as prints.
Whereabouts were they shot?
In Sydney, yeah. So all local for the local stores. But yeah, I think that was a really cool project because it gave me creative freedom to go out and capture landscapes close to home, close, I guess, to me and where I grew up, but also being able to see them come to life in a physical form is kind of another experience, because I feel like in today's day and age, we're just constantly shooting and throwing stuff online and we're just viewing it digitally. But I think with aerial photography, and I mean all photography in general, once you bring it to life in a physical sense, it takes on a new form, and then being able to go into a store and then see that on a large scale is just a really cool experience. So I think for me, that was definitely, or so far has definitely been a highlight of my drone photography.
What was the brief that Louis Vuitton gave you?
Well, they wanted, there's been a couple of different projects, but they wanted something, they kind of gave me the color palette and the textures of the refurb of the store, and then they said, we want you to capture something local that kind of matches these colors and textures and stuff like that. And that's what I like, because then that allows me to go out and get creative. And that's kind of how I like to view my aerial photography, in a sense, is like it's artwork, and you can capture things that are quite abstract and quite different to normal photography. So yeah, that was a really fun one to work on.
Yeah, great. And speaking of local images, we've got a few of your Sydney images here.
Yep.
Can you walk us through this first one?
Yeah, so this first one here is probably one of my most popular images. And when I sell prints on my store, I think this image is actually the most popular or the best
Classic
seller.
Postcard shot.
Classic, yeah, classic postcard shot. So that's Mona Vale Beach, the Mona Vale rock pool right there. And yeah, like I was saying before, I think the thing that I love most about this top-down perspective, and especially shooting water, is it doesn't matter where you're shooting. Every time you shoot, the water and the waves, the textures, the colors, they're all going to be different. They're forever changing. So for me, this is another very abstract photo. And it almost does look like a painting, and that's why I kind of gravitate towards those ocean shots. I tend to shoot when it's overcast because it reduces the glare in the water. Obviously, you can do that through the use of a filter, but when it's overcast, it kind of just helps to flatten out the landscape a little bit more. And then obviously being able to shoot in RAW on all the DJI drones just allows you to tap in and affect all those colors afterwards and really bring it to life and kind of treat it the way that you want to treat it.
Absolute magic. I think we've got another great Aussie shot here.
Yep, another classic beach shot. So that's shot at freshwater, another northern beaches shot. Yeah, this was just a really cool moment. I haven't really been able to replicate this since, but it was almost like there was two different wave fronts coming together and clashing in the middle. And it just looked really unique with all the people in the water, the long shadows.
Great shadow.
On the sand, and then, yeah, obviously, again, bringing it to life with the colour and bringing out all those shadows and different, textures in the water.
So a lot of it's just being in the right place at the right time?
Yeah, a lot of it's being in the right place at the right time, and then just shooting volume, I think, is always good. It's always better to have more options than less when you're going out and to shoot and going to edit. But a lot of these shots here are just me going out and having fun with my drone, and I think that's when you get the best results, is when you're not under any pressure, just going out and having fun, and that's what it's all about, really.
Absolutely. Gab, have you had any close calls?
Yes, I definitely have. I have broken a couple of drones in the past. I have crashed a couple. I feel like that's happened to everyone at some point or another. But probably the closest call that I had was when I was flying my old Phantom a few years ago. I was shooting again on the northern beaches. It was early in the morning, and this older guy came up to me. He was walking his dog. He said, "Can you see those whales out over on the shore?" I said, "No." He goes, "Look, there's whales out there." He goes, "Are you flying a drone? You should go and see if you can catch them." I was like, "Oh, they look a bit far out." So I put it in sports mode, flew it out there, and I would have been probably like 2 kilometers from the shore, but I panned down and I saw these like 3 huge whales just in the water, and they were diving out and then shooting up water and all the rest of it, the full thing. And I wasn't even concentrating on where the drone was at that point. I was just trying to hit record and snap images and chase these whales. And then all of a sudden my screen just went black, and I was like, "Oh no, like it's gone out of signal, and it's so far away, like I can't see it line of sight," which I think is always important to be able to actually see it in the sky so you know where it is.
Good tip.
But yeah, my screen was black for probably about 15 minutes. And as you know, the drone batteries don't last that long. They're probably like half an hour max. So at 15 minutes, I'm thinking, yeah, there's no chance this thing's coming back. It's dropped in the water. But I decided to walk to the other end of the beach, up to like the headland, to see if there was any chance of getting signal. And waited there for another couple of minutes. I was like, "No, it's not happening." And then just as I was walking back to the beach, I started getting like a flicker of signal, and I could see that the drone had done the return to home function. It was just slowly coming back home, but it was on about 2%, and it still had to get back. And I think I caught it at 1% battery, and I had already accepted that the drone was lost. But for me, that was a very close call. But it just goes to show how smart these drones are, that they have that function to be able to return to home.
How good is that return home feature?
Yeah, when you get into sticky situations. So yeah, that was definitely an experience I won't forget.
So that's one great DJI feature, the return to home feature. What are your other favorite features?
Yeah, I think in recent years, the addition of all the different quick shot features has been really beneficial. Not only to me as someone who's a pro, but especially to people that are beginners that are looking to fly. I think that's probably the best thing about the DJI drones, is that they are so intelligent. The technology is so good that you don't really have to do anything to be able to get good results. So for instance, you've got active track now, where you can literally highlight a subject and walk around, the drone will follow you and track you. That's great if you're out by yourself or you don't have anyone to shoot with. And then there's a bunch of other modes. So there's, orbit and all the rest of it, that you can get really cool moves and not to have to actually physically control it. The drone's pretty much on autopilot. So I think for me, that's probably one of the coolest things that DJI do with their drones, and just making it so easy and accessible for everyone to use.
Terrific. Well, Gab, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
It was such a pleasure, and we look forward to working with you more in the future and seeing more of your work. For more information on our DJI products, check out our website and authorized resellers. Also, for the latest and greatest in tech from us, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our social media platforms. I'm Clem Kennedy signing off, and thanks again for watching.